My entire life revolved around our family's construction company. From the time I was a little girl, I wasn't playing with dolls. I was on job sites with my dad, learning the difference between a Phillips and a flathead screwdriver. While my friends were at the mall, I was in the office, learning how to read blueprints and manage payroll. It wasn't a chore, it was my passion. I loved the smell of sawdust, the roar of heavy machinery, the satisfaction of seeing a project go from a patch of dirt to a finished home. I went to college and got a degree in business management with a specialization in construction project management. I came back home eager to apply everything I'd learned. For 10 years, I poured my heart and soul into the business. I streamlined our operations, secured major contracts that doubled our revenue, and managed our biggest projects to date. I was the vice president, my dad's right hand. Everyone, from our employees to our clients, knew I was the one running the day-to-day operations. The plan was always for me to take over when Dad retired. It was an unspoken promise, sealed with years of sweat and dedication. My younger brother, Kevin, was the complete opposite. He had zero interest in the company. He drifted through his 20s, trying his hand at being a musician, a travel blogger, you name it. He was charming and fun, but responsibility wasn't his strong suit. Whenever he needed money, he'd come to Dad, who always bailed him out. I love my brother, but from a business perspective, he was a liability. About 2 years ago, Kevin, now in his early 30s, decided his latest career path wasn't working out and came back to town. Dad, in his infinite generosity, gave him a job at the company. A vague manager title with no real duties. I tried to be supportive. I tried to teach him the ropes, but he just wasn't interested. He'd show up late, spend half the day on his phone, and take 2-hour lunches. Our long-term employees would come to me, frustrated, asking why they had to pick up his slack. I tried talking to Dad about it, but he'd just wave it away, saying, "Give him time, he's just finding his feet." The tension started to build. It felt like I was running the company, while also babysitting my brother, who was getting paid just for showing up. But I bit my tongue. I kept working, assuming Dad would eventually see the reality of the situation. I believed my hard work and results would speak for themselves. After all, I had given my entire adult life to this company. Surely that counted for something. Then came the day of the big announcement. Dad called a family meeting at his house. My mom was there, along with Kevin and me. I walked in feeling excited, a little nervous. Dad had been talking about retirement for months, and I thought this was it. The moment my years of hard work would finally be recognized, the moment the torch would be passed. I even had a small bottle of champagne in my car, ready to celebrate. We all sat in the living room, and Dad started his speech. He talked about his legacy, about how proud he was of the company he built from the ground up. He looked at me and said, "Sarah, you have been the backbone of this company for the last decade. Your hard work and intelligence have taken us to new heights. I couldn't have done it without you." My heart swelled with pride. This was it. He paused, took a deep breath, and then turned to my brother. "And that's why," he said, his voice firm, "I've decided to name Kevin as the new president and CEO. The world stopped. I'm pretty sure my heart stopped too. I just stared at him, my mind trying to process what he'd just said. Did I hear him right? I looked at Kevin, who had a smug little smile on his face. I looked at my mom, who was staring at her hands, refusing to meet my eyes. The silence in the room was deafening. "What?" I finally managed to whisper. It was the only word I could get out. Dad cleared his throat, suddenly unable to look me in the eye. "Sarah, you're brilliant at operations. You'll stay on as vice president, of course. You and Kevin will make a great team." A great team? My voice started to rise, fueled by a decade of suppressed frustration and a fresh wave of disbelief. "Dad, Kevin doesn't know the first thing about running this company. He can't even get to work on time. I've been running this place for years." That's when he said the words that shattered my world. He finally looked at me, his expression a mix of pity and stubbornness. "Sarah," he said calmly, "at the end of the day, he's the man. The guys on the crews, our clients, they need a man in charge. It's just how this business is. He'll carry on the family name. He's the man. Those 3 words hit me like a physical blow. It wasn't about my qualifications, my dedication, my results, or the 10 years of my life I had sacrificed. It was about my gender. In my own father's eyes, I was less capable, less worthy, simply because I was a woman. My brother, with his complete lack of experience and work ethic, was a better choice simply because he was a man. The betrayal was so deep, so absolute, it felt like I couldn't breathe. It wasn't just a business decision. It was a personal rejection from my own father. He had looked at his 2 children and decided that his son's gender was more valuable than his daughter's lifetime of loyalty and competence. I stood up, shaking. "I can't do this," I said, my voice trembling with a rage I had never felt before. "I won't do this." I looked from my father's face to my brother's, and then to my mother, who still wouldn't look at me. In that moment, I realized I wasn't just losing my career, I was losing my family. I walked out of that house, and I didn't look back. The next day, I went to the office, packed my personal belongings into a single box, and wrote my resignation letter. Leaving was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. It was like amputating a part of myself. That company wasn't just a job, it was my identity, my future, my family's legacy that I thought I would carry on. The first few months were a blur of anger and grief. I had to watch from the sidelines as the company I had helped build began to falter under my brother's leadership. He made a series of terrible decisions, alienating our best employees and losing key clients. Dad had to come out of retirement multiple times to clean up his messes, but he never called me. His pride wouldn't let him. The pain of that betrayal is something I still carry with me. It's a constant reminder that sometimes the people who are supposed to love and support you the most can be the ones who hurt you the deepest. But I also learned something incredibly important from this experience. My worth is not determined by my father's outdated views or anyone else's prejudice. So I picked myself up. I took all my knowledge, my passion, and my 10 years of experience, and I started my own consulting firm. At first, it was terrifying. I was completely on my own. But then, something amazing happened. My old clients started calling me. The best site managers and foremen who had left my dad's company after I did, they reached out. They wanted to work with me again. Today, my firm is thriving. I specialize in helping small to medium-sized construction companies streamline their operations and grow their business, all the things I did for my family's company. I get to choose who I work with, and I've built a team based on talent and respect, not gender. I'm my own boss. I answer to no one but myself and my clients. Every now and then, I hear things about my family's old company. It's still struggling. I feel a pang of sadness for what was lost, for the legacy that could have been. But I don't feel regret. The betrayal forced me onto a new path, a path that is entirely my own. I proved to my father, and more importantly to myself, that success doesn't have a gender. It's built with skill, hard work, and integrity. And now, I'm building my own legacy on my own terms. To anyone out there who has ever been underestimated or passed over, please know this. Their limitations are not your own. Don't let their small-mindedness define your potential. Take your talent, take your drive, and go build your own empire. Sometimes, the most painful endings are just the beginning of your greatest chapter. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content. I'll see you in the next video.